I want to do something I'm calling ridiculous or realistic. I'm not sure it's good branding. Every every idea has been taken. But I want to give you some of the Viking takes that I'm seeing kind of floating around. And I want you to tell me some of the hotter takes. And I want you to tell me if you think they are more on the realistic side or the ridiculous side. Super
Okay.
simple, right?
Yeah.
First one, Jordan Addison is more likely to get traded in the next 12 months than he is to get extended.
Tough, but I think actually relatively easy.
Okay.
I think it's more realistic that he is traded. I just think that he's due for a giant contract. Like we don't if everything stops right now and you look at his numbers and all that stuff, um the only comp that we have out of his draft class is Jackson Smith and Jigba,
Mhm.
JSN. Um, and he just got a fat deal,
Yeah,
right?
he's the
Now
best
I think
one of the best receivers in the league. But
one of the
what
best
about to your point though, Christian Watson just got 110 million. Jordan Addison has put up bigger numbers in 3 years than Watson has in 4. There's no like if you'd have told the Packers they could have one of those 2 guys for that money, I bet they're walking over to Minnesota and swiping Jordan Addison. So you've gotta believe he's in line for a lot of money. And
okay,
the question is, do you wanna be the Cincinnati Bengals?
right,
That's a
right,
lot of money, the Chiefs shipped off the cheetah, and
yeah.
kept Kelsey around. Can you pay 2 weapons at that high of level?
The answer is no. I don't want the Vikings to pay both of these receivers. I think Justin Jefferson next year in 2027 is has the highest cap hit in the whole league. Now, does
Mm,
that get changed because we can just like move some money
shift,
around?
yeah.
Sure. But as it is right now, he has got the highest cap number. If you want to have, and there might be some people out there like, well, you can't compare him to JSN. Well, yeah, you can. So I'm gonna probably get these numbers a little bit wrong. But as of right now, JSN has like a little over 100 more receptions than Jordan Addison. Okay, but keep in mind he is a primary number one receiver,
Mhm,
so he has 100 more receptions. They're the same draft class and like 1,100 more yards.
mhm.
But Jordan Addison on a per catch basis has a higher yards per reception number. So if you project that out, if Jordan Addison was a primary number one receiver, he would have more receiving yards than JSN right now.
But
And and already he has two more receiving touchdowns than JSN. And that's without even playing 2026.
I think the argument to that is how what because here's the thing, people are gonna go at you about this, and I'm gonna play the opposite side. Uh, w what would Jackson Smith and Jigba's numbers be in the number 2 role with Justin Jefferson eating up coverages and letting you run around? So I do understand what you're saying. I'm gonna argue I think it all lands at the same point because I'm gonna argue more for the Christian Watson comp. Either one of those the Watson deal, much smaller, is an enormous deal for a second wide receiver, but
Okay,
I
what did you say his contract was?
I think it's
Uh,
4 for 110. It's
okay, so he's 4 for
huge.
110. All right. And JSN was like 4 for 160 or something like that.
Mhm.
So let's just say it, call it 140, call
Yeah.
it 130.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't,
That's
I don't want to play in that sandbox.
somebody is gonna give him that, and here's what I will say, I love watching Jordan Addison play football. I remember really early on somebody who was at Pitt told me, they were like, "This kid is gonna be one of the best 10 wide receivers in the league." I still think that's there. I think there's a lot of this isn't T. Higgins. T. Higgins goes off, he'll be a good receiver somewhere. Addison has a lot of one to him. He's got a lot of upside. So I think yeah, I think I agree with you. It's realistic. Let's do number 2.
Okay.
Number 2 cuz these aren't going to get any easier. This is one that I got cuz I here's the thing. This is a KOC one and I on my other show I've been a KOC defender. I think he's a good coach, right? And so anytime people disagree with that, they just hit me with messages. And they are, it's in a certain part of the fan base, it's floating out there. It's this take. If the Minnesota Vikings do not only go to the playoffs, but win a game, they will have a new head coach in 2027.
This one is easy for me. It is very I think it's ridiculous that they would fire him, and I think it's more realistic that if we don't win a playoff game, he's still the head coach. Um, I understand the impatience that people have.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, I'm a psycho. I have it.
right. I get that. If this is a performance-based business. It's a meritocracy. We all understand that. So you can make the argument that, well, he's only winning X amount of playoff games, and we all think that he's got a talented roster. And boy, if you look at the NFLPA, rating system, they got the best facilities, the best this, the best this, the best this. Like we're A plus across the board, but we're underachieving and we're not winning games. I think he sticks around because he's shown his value as an evaluator, a talent evaluator. Um, he is starting to grow his own kind of branch of coaches. Um, the the ownership implicitly trusts him with running sort of football operations. That was proven with Rob Brzezinski in this interim role. I mean, he had a huge hand in the draft this year. And when they brought him in to interview the actual GM candidates, there's a lot of trust that's built up there with him that
Mhm.
he understands what this team wants, where the organization's going to go, and the type of personality it's going to take to collaboratively get them there. So I think if they do fall short, and we don't know right now, obviously, how they fall short. Is it quarterback play? Is it injuries? What is it? If they fall short, I think they would at least give him and Nolan another year together,
Full year together.
a
Yes,
full year together
absolutely.
to kind of like work this thing through, make some changes, and make this roster a little bit better. But man, talented coach, well liked, well respected. Unless unless there's like a scandal or something, I don't see them firing him.
Yeah, and I always hate the argument when you're talking about stuff like this where well, what are you gonna get instead? That argument always drives me nuts, but I'm gonna be a hypocrite and I'm gonna use it because I can understand. I think like we all as fans have frustrations and ideas of the way we think things should go. But if you really step back and you really step out of the micro and the minutia and you look at it globally, like the reality. He's been the head coach for 4 years. Okay? In those 4 years, 2 of them, he's had a starting quarterback that's played the whole season. In those years, he won 14 games and 13 games. And I know everybody now the problem is we rewrite history and act like that makes sense. The over under with the Kirk year was 9.5 on every book in the country. On the Darnold year, it ranged between 5.5 and 6.5. That's what the most accurate predictor of outcomes in this country thought was going to happen for this football team. So let's not act like these were 11 win teams that he won 14 and 13 games with. And then you put into the other two, you put in the other 2 years, which 4 starting quarterbacks in 1 year, 3 starting quarterbacks in the other year, and you see what happened.
Hmm.
I also think, like, people because he's an offensive branded head coach, people are going to pick that apart, and I think that's fair, right? But you forget that being a head coach is also being a CEO of the football team, and there's a lot of other aspects that go into it. We all love the Brian Flores hire, don't we? Who do you think went and talked Brian Flores to come be the defensive coordinator of this football team? And who do you
Hmm.
think works with him on a weekly basis to help run the ship? So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not saying there's not an amount of evidence that could change my mind, but in this
Sure.
moment right now, like if you see the things you need to see this season and it doesn't necessarily end with a playoff win, yeah, I think that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
The third one here, and this is the one, is this is the topic that's getting run into the ground. But you're seeing this. We heard our boy Tom Pelissero say a version of it. We're hearing other people say a version of it. Uh, Realistic or ridiculous? The 2027 starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings is not on the roster currently.
Oh. Oh, man.
And
Well,
here's the thing,
you're coming out real hot with these questions.
don't blame me. I'm just aggregating. I think it's with Kyler having a no tag clause, and the way the JJ thing is going. Like, I don't know. I think it's an interesting take.
Okay. So my quick answer is I think that's realistic. I think it's very realistic that we're looking at 2027 and our starting quarterback, he ain't on the team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we just as we've discussed with contracts, and maybe they feel like they got to learn a lesson if Kyler goes out and has a great season and he
Mm-hmm.
stays healthy, which is a huge thing. If he stays healthy and we can get him to be a passing quarterback, a creative quarterback, just a flat out productive leader on this team, and we win a bunch of games, then do they let him test the market and go out there like Sam Darnold? I don't know. Maybe they're like, listen, we kind of learned our lesson last time. Maybe we just go with the sure thing and not put all our eggs in one basket or with a young quarterback in McCarthy. But then that's also the issue. If you go back to Tom Pelissero, if JJ's moved before the season starts,
Mm,
then the likelihood that we have our 2027 starting quarterback on our roster right now drastically diminishes and goes down
mm-hmm.
because not sure even if Kyler plays well or doesn't play well. Do you get involved with a quarterback contract like that? Do you want to float around in those Kirk Cousins waters again where you've got all this money tied up in the quarterback? I don't know. And then you're clearly not going to go with Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback for 2027. So, man, oh man, it is highly likely that the 2027 quarterback is not on our roster right now.